have a pilot program with United Health, you're right.
I have something that I think they should work on. It probably doesn't affect just seniors, but most of the money that's blown on these things are from people who aren't paying premiums or who aren't even paying or haven't paid the Medicare tax through their working years, and every dollar they still continue to earn, which everybody knows. I mean, it's no free lunch. We paid into this from the first dollar you earned ever, and we're still continuing to pay. But by loading up on a lot of people who never paid in unless you develop a way to make them see that they have some skin in the game, you're never going to control their costs. And that's where the flagrant abuses are. And that's something the government's afraid to attack, I'm sure. But they must do it. We cannot continue to let just have a free ride and people bear no responsibility. Even if they help. Go to a mall, look at the obese people, see what they're eating. I mean, no one's stuffing the food down the malls. You know what I mean?
It's a big issue, and there have been plans, insurance companies want to charge obese people more money, or thin people less money, and a lot of those cases have been thrown out in court as a form of discrimination. But you're right, Gary. If we can't keep saying just because it's free, you know, insurance or Medicare, we don't care. That's why it keeps going up. We can't keep saying, go check your bill, because there are errors in those bills. There is a thing, Anita, in the law called bundling, where now if you go to the hospital, have a doctor, have x-rays, you're supposed to get the whole bill all in one package, bundled together. That's supposed to start.
I did get the $19,000 from the hospital. I called the hospital and asked to please send me an itemized bill, because I could look through and tell. I knew how many times a day I had medication, and I knew how many times a day, I had certain things. So I just wanted to have a good idea. Does this match up with this?
Right.
They did provide it when I asked them.
Well, that's the future. That's where it's going.
When, I have another question. I'm trying not to be political. When the word death panel came out 2 years ago, and people went flying away and screaming, that their life will be over, their parents' life will be over, why didn't the government take a sharper stance on that? Why did they go in hiding with that word?
Well, and AARP didn't come out and attack it right away, because it was like everyone thought that if you got into that, you'd make it worse. But the death panels, there was a clause in the original Senate, House plan that said Medicare will pay if you are on Medicare and you want to have a consult with a doctor about your health rights. Do you want to, and these are not pretty things, but I'm sure we've all talked about them. How do you want to be kept on the respirator? Do you want extraordinary means taken to preserve your life? What do you want? Well, that was a paid clause. They would pay you to get that kind of feedback instead of you having to pay that yourself. It was a new Medicare right. Well, you know what happened? People who didn't like the plan said, "Oh my God, that's a death panel. You're 62. Come on, we're going to come out here." Well, they called it killing Granny. That's the way it was. When AARP finally woke up and went after it, it was like the killing Granny thing. But the more we talked about it, the more people believed it. So guess what? It's not in the law. Gone. So an important privilege that you would have, the right to sit down with your mother or your daughter or whatever, and talk about end of life stuff, go on. You've got to pay for it yourself. That's the only thing that I understand about it. People were afraid to make it worse. It's like the socialized medicine thing. Oh, you're not going to be able to go to a doctor. It's going to be like Canada. You're going to have to wait 6 months to get your ears cleaned or something. I don't know. And the more you attack that kind of thing, the more it fed the fire, the flames, and prolonged it.
Do any physicians who we have here want to ask any questions? We have a couple here.
Well, the
I
physicians,
know I've had doctors say to me that they're absolutely opposed to the new health plan. Absolutely. While they're examining me, they're getting crazy and fighting.
well, it's interesting that the one big disappointment, well, there were several disappointments from AARP's point of view. They're not referring to the health plan, they're referring to the lack of the health plan to have the so-called doc fix, the doctor fix. Every year, doctors don't know what their reimbursement rate's going to be for working on Medicare patients. Because every year, the Congress says, well, shall we pay them this amount, shall we pay them that amount, shall we cut them, whatever. What was in the original bill was a doc fix, a schedule that said, from now for the next 5 years, this is what doctors will be paid. This will be their reimbursement on a sliding scale, with inflation. But because people opposed that, they took it out of the bill. So most of the doctors, if you tell them that, it's not in the bill. People try to get it in the bill. It should have been in the bill. Who ever heard of such a system where you don't know what you're going to get paid? Would you take Medicare patients if you didn't know in January what the rate would be? So there was a lot of slippage there. And it was passed as a separate bill, but only for 1 year. So all the doctors who treat Medicare patients only know for 1 year what their reimbursement's going to be.
Is that reimbursement the same in each state, or does each state get a different reimbursement?
Well, that's a good question. Dick and I talked about that, and I'm trying to figure that one out. The reimbursement for Medicare is supposed to be the same. I can't imagine how it would be different, but the reimbursement, I understand there are groups of doctors or groups of hospitals that get together and get a negotiated rate because they have more clout. They can get a better rate, more money. In fact, that's one of the biggest problems that we were concerned about. The hospitals in Boston, and you guys know about this more than I, they're good hospitals, Boston General, and all those hospitals. Well, they negotiated higher rates because they have these reputations for, if you're really sick, you go to Boston and whatever. And they have such a reputation that for you to have your appendix taken out or a cancer, God forbid, taken care of, they get higher reimbursements for that if you go to Boston. And an analysis was done, and guess what? The death rate, the recovery rate for those hospitals was no different than the hospitals in Fall River and New Bedford and Providence. So in that sense, the reimbursement is different.
Well, Phil, the difference there is, the charge for the hospitals operating in Boston is higher because they pay nurses higher, they pay techs higher than are paid to other people in Fall River. So their cost of doing business is higher.
Well, you would think so.
But so people here who just want to who have scheduled surgery, maybe a hip or something, don't want to go to their local hospital. They want to go to Boston, and it's the insurer or the individual who's driving the admission to the hospital in Boston. And
Yeah, no, I
that's the
understand. But
People
one of the
have
things,
choice.
one of the things that they